Someone just texted, "I'm coming over." Your stomach drops, not because you don't love them, not because you're antisocial, but because your home is about to become a stage, and you, the performer who never auditioned, you think your home is a place. 4 walls, a roof, an address on a map. It's not, it's a boundary. A second skin made of brick and silence. A fortress against the constant performance of being a person. When someone says they're coming over, they aren't just asking for your time. They are asking to occupy your consciousness, to install themselves inside the machinery of your attention. To you, this doesn't feel like a meeting. It feels like an eviction. Not of your space, of yourself. You don't hate visitors. You hate the end of your invisibility. You hate that the moment they arrive, you can no longer afford to simply exist. You must explain your existence, justify it, perform it, and no one warned you that this would be exhausting. In solitude, you don't have a face. You have a state of being, a frequency, a baseline hum that no one else needs to understand. Since no one is watching, there is no one to be. You inhabit the space without the need to translate your existence into a coherent language. You can sit in silence for an hour without it meaning you're depressed. You can laugh at nothing without seeming unstable. You can simply be the raw experience of consciousness without a narrative. But the moment a guest enters, everything changes. A face must be rendered. A tone of voice must be selected. A posture must be adopted. Eye contact calibrated. Responses prepared. A version of you that makes sense to them must be constructed in real time. And this version is always incomplete, always a translation, always a performance of the person you think they need you to be. The paradox is this: the guest brings the gift of company, but steals the freedom of being nobody. You don't hate the guest, you hate the effort of having to exist in their presence. You hate that the moment they knock on your door, you must become someone. And that someone is never quite you, because you only exists in the absence of witnesses. Hosting is a biological tax. The moment someone enters your space, your brain enters a state of hyper-prediction. Where will they sit? Should you offer them something? Are they comfortable? Are they bored? Is the silence too heavy or the conversation too forced? Neuroscience calls this theory of mind, the constant simulation of another person's thoughts and needs inside your own head. For most people, this runs quietly in the background, a low hum, manageable. For you, it's on overdrive. You stop living your life to simulate theirs inside your own neural circuitry. You become a prediction machine for another person's comfort. You notice the angle of their body, the timing of their glances toward the door, the pauses between sentences that might mean they want to leave but don't know how to say it. For some, this is an effortless dance, a social choreography performed without thought. For you, it's a laboratory, and every variable is a potential threat to your peace. You're not being a good host. You're running an experiment called, how long can I keep this person from realizing I want to be alone? And the exhaustion you feel after they leave isn't physical. It's not about the cleaning or the small talk or the time spent. It's the burnout of a machine that spent hours processing a system that wasn't its own. You didn't rest, you managed, you moderated, you performed optimization protocols on someone else's experience. And when they finally leave, you don't feel relieved, you feel drained, like you just ran a marathon inside your own mind. The real threat of a visitor isn't the social performance. It's that they are an unscripted event. They represent the chaotic outside world leaking into your controlled vacuum. A disruption in the predictable architecture of your day. You can plan around work, around obligations, around necessary interactions. But a visitor? A visitor is entropy in human form. The question, when will they leave, becomes a fracture in your timeline. You can't plan the next hour, or the next 3, or the rest of your evening, because as long as they are there, your future is suspended. You become a prisoner of the now, but it's a now that belongs to someone else. You check the time, not because you have somewhere to be, but because you need to know how much longer you must perform. And here's the deeper paradox. Even if they told you exactly when they'd leave, it wouldn't help. Because the real anxiety isn't about duration. It's about the loss of control over your own attention. Your mind is no longer yours. It's occupied territory. Safety, you realize, isn't the absence of people. Safety is the presence of a predictable exit. The knowledge that you can return to yourself whenever you choose. But with a guest in your home, that exit is sealed. And you must wait and smile and pretend this is fine until the door finally closes behind them. Society tells a comforting lie that a good person is an open door, that hospitality is a virtue, that saying no to company is a sign of coldness, of brokenness, of something fundamentally wrong with you. So you learn to feel guilty for needing solitude. You invent excuses, elaborate fictions to justify your unavailability. Sorry, I'm swamped this week. The place is a mess. I think I'm fighting a cold. I have an early morning. Family's in town. You perform a busyness that doesn't exist to protect a solitude you can't justify. Because how do you explain to someone that their presence, no matter how loved, is a disruption to your nervous system? How do you say, I need to not be perceived for a while, without sounding like you're rejecting them? You can't. So you lie, and then you feel guilty for lying. But guilt is the most intrusive guest of all. It stays long after the visitor has gone. It follows you into your reclaimed solitude and whispers that you're selfish, broken, incapable of normal human connection. Here's the paradox. You feel guilty for protecting your space, yet you lose the space precisely because you feel guilty. You say yes when you mean no. You extend invitations you hope won't be accepted. You tolerate intrusions because the alternative is admitting that you need something most people don't. You are apologizing for having a nervous system that requires silence to keep from collapsing. And the world offers no category for this. No language, no validation, just the quiet suspicion that something about you is wrong. But here lies the deeper layer. Your need for quiet isn't about rejecting love. It's about the stabilization of the self. Some minds are like deep water. They need absolute stillness to become clear. Every guest is a stone thrown into that water, and the ripples take hours, sometimes days, to settle. You don't need to be alone because you dislike people. You need to be alone because connection scatters you. Every interaction, no matter how brief, leaves fragments, impressions, energies that don't belong to you but that you must now process. Their mood, their unspoken needs, the version of you they expected, the version you delivered, and you can't sort through any of it until you're alone again. Solitude isn't avoidance, it's integration. It's the time your system needs to return to baseline, to remember what your own thoughts sound like, to feel the shape of your own preferences without the weight of someone else's expectations. You don't need to be alone to hide. You need to be alone to return to the source, before the image others have of you becomes the only thing left. Before you forget that underneath the performance, there was always someone who never needed to be explained. But here is the final fracture, the question that dissolves everything. Who is this you that feels so invaded? If you are so fragile that a knock at the door threatens your identity, is that identity real? Or is your home, this fortress of solitude, just another performance? Another wall built to hide the fact that there is no one inside to be protected? What if the visitor isn't the problem? What if the problem is that you've spent so long performing solitude that you've mistaken it for selfhood? What if the fear of the visitor isn't the fear of someone coming in, but the fear of discovering that you aren't home? that the you you're protecting never existed in the first place, that it's just another story, another boundary, another illusion of coherence in a system that was always just processing, just responding, just performing existence, even when no one is watching. Maybe you don't hate visitors. Maybe you just realize that in the end, no one can ever truly enter, and no one can ever truly stay. Not because they leave, but because there was never a place for them to arrive. The door you've been guarding, it opens into nothing. Leave it as it is. It doesn't matter anyway.